No one knows how to do an interview, an adversarial interview. I think Christ. I do.
Well, I think he doesn't. I don't think
Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to win anyway. I didn't think he.
That's not about winning, Kurt. It's about attracting as big of an audience and followers that you can. So then you now have power in the electorate. If he can pull at 10 or 15%, nobody can get elected without his supporters. Unlike Bert, let me talk.
All right.
Look out the door. If you hear an ambulance, the Vanguard will be there, sir.
Did you watch this whole video?
Yeah.
Now, it's infuriating to me for many reasons. One is because Anderson...
I can't tell if it's the guy from the Goonies or if it's Kurt Metzger back there. Like Jimmy might be feeding him baby Ruths for a living, for all I can tell, as far as the fucking audio quality is going on back there. You know, thought love Jimmy. Baby Ruth.
Cooper he has to be lying. He can't not know what's going on with NATO. He can't not know.
He absolutely does know.
There's no point to NATO. NATO was supposed to be there. So, and anyway, let me show you this thing. NATO was set up as a defense from the Soviet Union. There is no more Soviet Union. So there's no point to NATO. NATO, as Chomsky has already taught us, is there just to make sure there's secure the energy the shipping lanes, energy transfers. That's all it's there. It's for money. So we can be the hegemon in the world.
But Jimmy, we have to protect those trade lanes from Russia because they want to attack trade.
Yeah. So Russia wanted to join NATO. Did you know that? Russia doesn't want any of this. This is all American capitalists wanting to fight against who they see as their competitors. Russian oil, Russian natural resources.
Jimmy reasserting that Russia does not want Crimea. Okay.
And with China. So that's all this is. This is capitalists ginning up a war. And what is it always about? It's always about money and natural resources and money. That's it. That's always. And so that's the same thing. And so Anderson Cooper is going to push the establishment line. And I'm sorry. I would like to have a meeting with Cornel West to help him. He should blow right through this guy. Well, you tell me if he does. Maybe some people think he did. Let's watch.
About the war in Ukraine, because I saw you tweeted out, you said NATO is an expanding instrument of U.S. global power that provoked Russia into a criminal invasion and occupation of Ukraine.
Which is true. NATO provoked. What NATO did was the equivalent of if Russia started bombing Toronto, or if Toronto started bombing all the American speakers in Toronto, and then they wanted to put military bases in Canada too, that we wouldn't stand for it.
Yeah, you're right. We wouldn't stand for it. But it also wouldn't be excusable if we rolled into fucking Canada and started murdering tens of thousands of innocent Canadian civilians because of that. I certainly wouldn't be defending that. I hope you wouldn't be either, Jimmy, if America did that.
Isn't this a very similar, like, take for example, let's use a more like realistic, counterfactual, right? Let's say that Russia and Cuba were in alliance. At one point, hey, that would have checked out, right? Russia, Cuba, okay, great. And now there's a bunch of missiles in Cuba, let's just say, from history. I don't know if this ever happened, but let's just say there are a bunch of missiles in Cuba, right? And they are within reach of the United States, right? And the United States is unhappy. By Jimmy's logic, then we have the right to go to Cuba and start slaughtering people relentlessly, because that's exactly the argument that he's making, that Russia has the right to do that. He's saying because up on their border, there is buildup with a, conflicting imperial power, then you have the right to go in there and vanquish everybody. He's basically making the case for Bay of Pigs right now.
Right. And again, I think it's fair to acknowledge the context that started the Russia-Ukraine war. I do think it's fair to acknowledge NATO provocation. But again, just because a crime is provoked doesn't mean that it's justified. I always say, like, just because Zach hit me in the face doesn't mean I get to kill him and his entire family. Yeah, that would technically be a provocation. Doesn't excuse the over-the-top criminal reaction on my part in that example. In the same way, yeah, it is true that NATO provoked Russia, but that doesn't give them an excuse to massacre civilians and, and their own people, Russian people that have been drafted into this war, like 50-year-old men having to go fight in this fucking war.
CIA propaganda guy.
Anyway,
Hear that, CNN? This fucking guy.
We wouldn't let Russia or China or anybody do that. Look what John F. Kennedy did when Russia was sending missiles to Cuba. He almost started World War III over it. He was willing to start a nuclear war to stop that. So we've been doing that. We've encircled Russia with military bases and NATO countries that are
making
sworn
it sound
enemies.
like that was a good idea. He's literally saying this is what you have to. He's literally making the case for Bay of Pigs right now, and yet he's supposed to be anti-CIA. Hello. Somebody get on the phone. If I swear, if Jimmy had a guy right now that was supposed to keep track of his like actual position on things, they would be getting in his ear, being like, "No, dude, pivot, backtrack," because you are literally supporting you're so inconsistent that it's so obvious you don't actually have an ideology. Because if you did, you wouldn't end up in this kind of a trap here.
Of Russia is no longer an empire like they were. There's no Soviet Union. There's no point to NATO anymore. NATO is an offensive organization that invades other countries.
I just wanted to say thanks to Kurt Metzger for being a good sport and showing up in the chat. Really appreciate that super chat, man.
And steals their natural resources like we're doing in Syria right now. He never brings up Syria. He never brings up Libya. Or Afghanistan. So let's watch. Do you want to say something?
But Jimmy, isn't it best that we defang Russia militarily because they're bad and
they're bad and stuff.
That's why we have to how when someone's bad,
okay,
the best thing you do is to hit them first.
Yes.
First lie and be like, I won't hit you. Then hit them first.
Okay.
And that's not illegal or a crime.
Or a crime. Here we go.
You said this proxy war between the American Empire and the Russian Federation could lead to World War.
So he just doesn't explain what he's correct in this tweet. And tip of the hat to Cornel West, and I look forward to voting for him. He's not able to explain that. What does he mean by how they provoked it? He doesn't tell you that the CIA in the United States did a coup in 2014 in Ukraine, and with the help of right-wing Nazis to overthrow the democratically elected president, and then the people in the
I wonder if you put a gun to his head right there, if he could tell you where that coup happened.
Yeah, and it's also pretty rich that Jimmy Dore is criticizing Cornel West for not coming prepared enough and for not having all the facts ready to go in a way that's like easily understandable for everyone. Do you remember what happened when Jimmy Dore went on the Sitch and Adams show to debate this exact question, the 2014 coup, and basically what led up to the Ukraine war? They pushed back on him ever so slightly. They're just like, can you just explain how there was a coup in 2014, like, because they don't agree with his position, obviously. And I don't agree with their position either, but I'm just saying, they asked him to defend his position and explain where he was coming from. He basically just laughed and fled because he couldn't stand up to any scrutiny whatsoever. He doesn't have the ability to actually defend his positions.
But we're not there yet. So I sent you a picture, Adam, if you want to bring it up. One of the main piece of evidence that I see cited, that you cited, Dave, that Jimmy cited many months ago about this claim that the U.S. coup of Ukraine was, as you said, the Victoria.
You're really going to debate this? You're going to debate whether fucking the United States couped Ukraine? You guys enjoy it. Take care, you guys. This has been fun.
Thanks for coming on, Jimmy.
Take care.
Okay.
And I really appreciate you saying I was funny. I think that no matter who it is, if they find me funny, I have a spot for them in my heart. But I'm not going to do this.
Objectively false. You don't care?
I'm not going to do this. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to go black is white, in is out. And if the point of it is this is an economic proxy,
so you don't even know what I'm going to say about the Newland phone call.
No, what I'm just saying is
about Newland.
I know none of this matters. What Kurt is saying is right. It was that it doesn't matter. What's your end point? That we should be helping and spending $100 billion in Ukraine or not? We're there for the same reason we did Libya, for the same reason we did Iraq, for the same reason we did Afghanistan and Yemen, and now
he has to get loud and abstract because he has absolutely no fucking clue what he's talking about. All he knows how to do is to blithely regurgitate whatever the fuck he heard and got on his little note cards, from his writers who are, basically just the getting the backwash of like the Gray Zone and, RT and any of the random fuckers that he's decided are going to dictate his policy outside of the right wing. You know what I mean?
We're doing Somalia and Ethiopia for the same reasons, where that's the same reason we're there. And any discussion about it is just
saying
buzzwords. I appreciate you. And I thanks for having me.
I mean, Jimmy, before
true, because you and everyone else.
It's okay.
Everyone else brings this stuff up in your videos.
It's okay.
If it didn't matter, you wouldn't bring it up.
It's okay. It's okay. It's good talking. Honest to God, you guys, you could have it out with Dave. Dave is doing a great job, and there's no reason for me to get upset. Okay, so
That's fine. I understand you don't want to, be fact checked or talk about anything.
Hey, Sitch, no, Sitch.
Hey,
You're
so
right.
maybe
Sitch got real with Jimmy. Honestly, based Sitch moment.
Hey, you
You're
want to
right,
have? Should we
Sitch,
talk
you're
about
right.
if water is wet? Yes, we could.
Jimmy,
fucking
Jimmy,
great.
Jimmy.
All right, I'm going to take care.
Wait, Jimmy. Before you go, thanks for coming on. Come
Thank
back on the
you.
show again sometime. We'll discuss. Take
I
care.
don't think
man.
it's gonna happen.
Have a good Sunday.
Okay,
I'll be honest,
Russia's
Kurt.
wrong.
You know, I-
Russia's wrong. Now that we've established Russia's wrong, which is just all the things Dave said are lies.
And then Jimmy's
I
gone.
agree with Sitch. Now we're there.
So that's what he. That's all. That's it. That's the extensive knowledge that Jimmy has about that coup that happened in 2014 in Ukraine, and we did it with Nazis. That's basically all he knows.
Yeah, so now let's watch him lecture Cornel West about the proper way to debate someone who disagrees with you on your analysis of Russia and Ukraine, and sit here and look at him act like he would have done a better job, like he has done a better job in the past, and we clearly just saw he did a fucking miserable job. I mean, imagine if you're a normie. Like Zach and I have a understanding of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, probably a little bit more sophisticated than just your average Joe, but imagine you're just a normal person that's not, consuming bread tube content all day, and you really truly don't know where to fall on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Well, if you watch that debate that Jimmy did with Sitch and Adam, you would end up agreeing with Sitch and Adam, because you'd be like, well, clearly this guy can't even defend his fucking position. He can't even make an argument because he can't even defend his position. He left before he even said what his argument was. They just asked him to defend his most basic analysis, and he couldn't do it. So if you're just a normal person, you would have ended up siding with Sitch and Adam in that interview, because they sounded like they know what the fuck they're talking about. Anyway, it just makes it extra rich that Jimmy Dore is about to lecture Cornel West for not 1 or 2 minutes, but 40 fucking minutes about how to properly handle an interview specifically related to the same context that he totally shit the bed in.
Eastern part of Ukraine didn't want to go along with that. You have to explain to people how this all started. And you have to explain to people that the Minsk Accord was a peace agreement that the Ukraine people never followed, Ukraine government and NATO never followed, and that they used, that he doesn't explain any of that. And that we ramped up that Zelensky and NATO ramped up the bombing of the Donbass, the Russian speakers in the East who didn't want to go along with the coup government. They ramped it up to double. They were bombing and shelling and killing people, just citizens of their own country, Ukraine, in the eastern part of Ukraine, and that's why Russia stepped in. So he doesn't explain it. So we go. Do you want to?
Zelensky came in promising to end that,
and Zelensky got elected promising to end that, and he got elected promising unity. Now they've outlawed Russian language.
He had to take down tweets saying they got to stop bombing the bomb. He had to take his tweets down because he got noticed from a.
So watch Anderson Cooper just pretends, just like Rachel Maddow and everybody else on television, pretends they don't know any of that. And for some reason, Cornel doesn't articulate that. So let's watch this. This is going to be painful. I think maybe you'll like it. Maybe you think Cornel did a great job here. I really want him to be able to smash a guy like Anderson Cooper when he's doing war propaganda. And let's watch it.
3, we must stop the war and war crimes, including cluster bombs used by all parties, and embark on diplomatic talks that should lead to a just peace. You believe, I mean, how are you going to bring all sides of the table on Ukraine? And do you really believe that NATO provoked Russia into invading Ukraine?
Does Anderson Cooper really not know that? Do you really not know the history of what's going on? The encroachment of NATO? Does he not know anything about the 2014 Biden coup? Does he not know anything that the
He has one move. Jimmy Dore has one move. And does he not know this? Does he not know that this is a fact? Does he not know that my argument is 100% correct, bro? Let me continue to pause this and say, does he not even know how right I am, bro? Everybody knows I'm right. Me and my boys are right. We're all right. We already said this, bro. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know what we just said. He's never watched Russian television. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Yeah. Does he not know about the Victoria Nuland phone call that got recorded and released, where she was picking out who's going to be the next leader of Ukraine? That this was completely instigated by the United States and NATO, and you don't know any. I don't believe that Anderson Cooper doesn't know any of that. But what is sad is that Cornel West. Let's see. You tell me. If,
you know what it is. He's a wealthy socialite. So all these people are the same. They don't know because they make it their business not to know. Their important friends tell them.
Yes.
Like how Moby had dinner with the CIA and they told him Russiagate was real. He's one of them people.
They told him Russiagate. Here we go.
Well, when Russia was promised that NATO not move 1 inch, and then a few years later, you got 13 former Soviet.
But wait a minute. No,
so, first of all, Anderson keeps doing that. He'll ask this long-winded question, and as soon as Cornel starts to answer it, he talks over him, and Cornel lets him, which is a mistake. Also, he doesn't start. Well, who said that NATO wouldn't expand 1 inch to the east? When did they say that? Why did they say that? So there was promised to Gorbachev when Eastern and Western Germany came back together that United States the NATO would not move 1 inch to the east. Well, we've added like 12 or 14 new countries already.
This is fucking completely irrelevant. That's literally what Cornel West is saying. He's just unhappy that he did it. Like, he's just being a respectful guest on Anderson Cooper's show. Like, Jimmy wants him to go crazy, go nuclear. Hey, Jimmy, when have you gone nuclear on Tucker when you're on Fox News? When have you gone nuclear on him? I've never once seen it. And I've never once seen you debunk his horseshit framing at all.
Yeah, that's because when Jimmy goes on Tucker, it's a safe space. It is. He's not getting challenged by fucking Tucker Carlson. Well, back when Tucker was on Fox. And he's going to bring up his appearance later on Tucker to try to be like, see, this is how you do it. This is how you bring the heat to these establishment hacks. And then plays his clip. But it's like, bro, you were in a safe space. That's the difference. And Tucker just gave you the floor and let you drunkenly rant for 3 minutes or whatever. That's not the same. Cornel West is in a contentious interview here where he's being questioned on everything that comes out of his mouth by an establishment propagandist who's desperate to make him look stupid. That's a much different context to be operating in. And you know that, Jimmy, which is why you don't debate people that disagree with you, which is why you don't go on platforms that are hostile to your bullshit viewpoints. So let's watch a little more of this. We don't have to watch the entire fucking thing.
Good, because I'll fucking kill myself.
I know, dude. It's bad. We're going to watch a little more of this, and then I want to skip to the end where Jimmy really blows up and just like freaks out for no reason and even kind of turns on Kurt. But yeah, let's just take in a little bit more of this. It is getting pretty fucking frustrating to keep watching this.
Already. Countries now that are just on the border of Russia. Could you imagine if Canada entered into a military alliance with Russia or China?
Okay, so obviously Zach and I are not pro-NATO. I don't think you can call yourself anti-war if you are pro-NATO, but there's a reason why countries like Sweden, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Georgia, there's a reason why they want to join NATO, and Russia's kind of making the case for NATO by continuing to brutally invade Ukraine right now. Yeah, they're kind of making the case for fucking NATO membership. And like I said, I'm not a fan of NATO. I support the abolition of NATO. But the reason why these countries want to join it is because of what's happening to Ukraine, a country that borders Russia. And they want protection if that happens to them next. So I think it's pretty crazy to not acknowledge that at all and just act like it's completely unrelated.
Yeah, I think that for that reason is why a lot of people did not expect Russia to actually invade. Because it was just going to be a mad dash to join NATO at that point. Because then it's like, well, what former Soviet bloc country is going to be next, right? And on top of that, just like what country in Europe, right, wants that protection? Because while a lot of people will talk about all the crimes that NATO has perpetrated, as well we should, and that one of the reasons why Cornel West lists that we needs to be abolished, outside of the fact that it has kind of run its course, right? Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore, but it does provide a blanket of protection to those European bloc countries in a way that it doesn't any other country. Like, obviously, we always point to Libya as the example of the worst that NATO has to offer. But a lot of European countries view themselves in a very racist way. They view themselves, oh, well, we're in Europe. Right, that's in Africa. So they just don't see it as the same way, and they're looking for that blanket protection. They're like, oh no, the United States would come and save us, right? The rest of Europe would come and save us. Germany, France, England, they would come to our rescue in a way where it was like, okay, they just wanted Gaddafi out in Libya so they could do whatever the fuck they wanted. Anyway,
we wouldn't allow it, just like we wouldn't allow those missiles in Cuba, and so that's what Putin's doing. And now, and also he's stopping the shelling. He's actually on a rescue mission to stop the slaughter of the people in the Donbass. He doesn't explain any of it. He doesn't explain any of this.
He was on a rescue mission to save the people in the Donbass. He was on a rescue mission that ended up in the slaughter of tens of thousands of more innocent people. Wow. Successful rescue mission there. Oh my God.
Jimmy thinks we rescued the Native Americans when we came here.
Yeah, this is literally identical to people who said we're liberating the Iraqis. Is it fucking not? Like, is it fucking not? How is it different?
The only difference would be the proximity. Yeah. if somebody was reaching.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there is a difference, but to
I
say that
I hear you. I think basically it's proximity that.
yeah, I mean, it's just a difference of scale, but like, I mean, it's no different. Putin's not liberating shit. He's not rescuing anyone. He's slaughtering innocent people.
It's so funny because we always say this. The United States never does anything for like altruism, right? We're never doing anything for you because we're virtuous, right? We're not spreading democracy. We're not, liberating anyone, right? We're after our own ass and making more money. But that's every fucking government. And if you believe otherwise, then you're a mark. And a lot of marks for the Russian government are lurking in our chat, it seems like.
Yep. Anyway, I want to fast forward a little bit. He goes on. Oh.
There are literal Nazis all over our fucking country, and I do not want to get invaded. I'm sorry, but you're going in timeout until you die. But anyway, I do want to react to this because this is where you realize that oh my gosh, Jimmy Dore loves to stroke himself off more than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, there's that bit in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where he's like John Candy looks at him and he's like I've never seen a motherfucker play with his balls the way you do. What the fuck, what you want for Christmas? What, extra hands and a new set of balls to play with? Like, what the fuck is the matter with you? You love to like fucking that's Jimmy Dore on air every single day. He's just constantly looking for a new pair of balls. Like you know what I mean? It's crazy. He just loves to stroke himself off. Imagine doing this. Just the sheer gall, the audacity, man. Again, Cornel West, an intellectual titan. Okay, a powerhouse. Literally one of the few people to rise to the top of academia. And then guess what? Turn his nose up at it and say, it's not worth my morality. It's not worth compromising my ethics. You think that Cornel West couldn't be in a super cushy seat, as a tenured professor teaching one class a semester for a fortune at Harvard right now if he wanted to? Of course he could. That's what Jimmy Dore would be doing if he had even 1 ounce of the cognitive prowess of somebody like Cornel West. Jimmy Dore is just desperate. He reeks of the desperation to sell out the way frat boys reek of the desperation for pussy the first week of fucking college. Let me tell you what. Hey, I bought some seltzers, guys. Yeah, I didn't fucking know you did, pal. Stay away from everybody, you creep. That's it. That's the kind of shit. That's the kind of shit fucking energy that he brings. And he does this without an ounce of self-awareness, without an ounce of irony. And people actually take this man seriously. So for once and for all, I am begging you guys. I am just fucking begging you guys to find somebody just a tad more serious. Put up a better fucking showing than this, because this is pathetic. It's embarrassing, and he's in his fifi so bad because you know what? Cornel West took a look at him and was like, "Yeah, dude, you know what? You're getting the snooze button." And if we know one thing about Jimmy Dore, it's that he hates getting left on red, bro. We heard all about that from our boy Corin. So yeah.
So let's just try to finish the rest of this out. There's about 7 minutes, and this is where Jimmy really reaches his boiling point and gets pissed off, lashes out at Kurt Metzger, and just continues to humiliate himself. So yeah, let's watch.
He didn't have a message. I don't know. Am I getting too upset about this stuff?
No, I think what we want is the very best for Cornel and
of
this
course
campaign,
that's what
and we
this
want
is.
him out there to get the peace message out, and we hope he does.
Oh my God! Who is he talking to get that message out?
Look,
nobody. Apparently, fucking nobody.
I didn't expect him to go far out of the gate.
He's only talking to Anderson Cooper.
To America.
Also, is the peace message that Steph Zamorano just referred to, is that message that Putin is liberating the Ukrainian people by slaughtering them in the tens of thousands? Is that your idea of peace, Steph? Come on.
His white supremacy. I put that a little down the list behind, nuclear war. And that sounded like a dumb plan. No, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world.
Did he say that just now?
No. And the other, it's one of his first quotes, the greatest threat.
Oh, okay.
And
but in this,
like, rather than instead of having platitudes to say, he should have been able to say why this is the bigger threat. Like, it's a much bigger threat.
Should have said what you said, Jimmy. He should have said what you said. Yeah, baby Ruth.
This guy's upset. He's triggered because Cornel West brought up white supremacy and said it's one of the biggest issues facing the country. And he's like, I think the Russia conflict is actually a bigger deal. Wow.
The military-industrial complex is real diverse, Cornel. I don't know if you watch their commercials.
Oh
they've,
boy.
they've diversified, and it hasn't helped.
Okay, so Jimmy, when you say, am I getting too heated over this? But the
What
point
are
of
the
the matter
people in the
is,
chat saying?
some people are saying, Cornel could be better. Cornel should come on stronger.
Holy shit.
And what you're offering
Could
is
be better. Who do you think he won over with that appearance? Do you think Cornel West won over anybody with that appearance? It made it look like he was agreeing with the things that Anderson Cooper wanted him to agree on, and he didn't have a point to counter. And that is what a blown opportunity. What a blown opportunity. What a blown opportunity. And I've offered to donate my time to their campaign every 6 ways a Sunday. And then he goes on, and that happens. You think
it's so embarrassing? Yeah, bro, they don't fucking want to hear from you. That's hilarious. The absolute self-delusion, guys. Yeah, does this look like the face of a man that Cornel West wants to fucking hear? Cornel, you went on Anderson Cooper, and man, you should have had me on there with you, brother. You should have had me on there with you. I'd let him know what's up. I'd have really, really rung his bell, brother. Jesus Christ.
And again, I think it's fair to say that this wasn't Cornel West's best interview of all time. I've certainly seen him like in even more impressive form in previous appearances. So I'm not saying
against Hannity.
Yeah, like in his recent appearance on Hannity. I've seen him on fire in a lot of recent interviews. I thought he did a good job in this in this Anderson Cooper interview. I can agree it's not his best performance ever, but this vitriol that Jimmy Dore has really does lead me to believe that he's actually just upset because of the fact that Cornel West isn't returning his calls. Like he says over and over again, I keep reaching out. I want to help on this campaign. I want to advise you. And I haven't heard back. And it just seems like that's really the root of his bitterness here, because you never hear him coming after RFK. You never hear him coming after RFK, even though RFK says far more egregious shit, defends a literally genocidal fucking government of Israel, constantly contradicts the values that Jimmy Dore claims to have and uphold. But RFK answers his texts, and RFK calls him a genius on Twitter. Cornel West doesn't.
Anderson Cooper would be able to do that to fucking me, a moron. This guy's a genius, Cornel West. I'm a moron, and I would have mowed through Anderson Cooper. Did no one tell Cornel West, you have to have your message and you don't stop talking? You don't let Anderson Cooper interrupt you until you get your message out. Did nobody ever ran a campaign over there? No one ever went out on an interview?
Jimmy Dore is giving him supreme advice to be portrayed like an absolute lunatic by CNN for the rest of the fucking campaign. Do you know how easy it is for you to get your fucking campaign ruined by something the media can run with? Just ask Howard Dean. Just ask Howard Dean what the fucking happened to your campaign if they get something where they just decide to run with. Jimmy Dore is a fucking idiot. Yes, of course, you have to be consistent with your message. That's exactly what he did. He didn't tailor his message. He didn't falter on anything. He went out there and he calmly and rationally, he said, he literally dispelled every single myth of the Green Party in this thing. He was like, he's not hateful, he's not vengeful, he's loving. His message is sincere, he's pure, he's clearly intelligent as fuck, a genius, as even Jimmy Dore fucking pleases it, although somehow you still draw the conclusion that he should be taking your stupid fucking advice. No, what he does is deliver maybe not a masterclass, but a solid performance for how you deal with a fucking just abject pawn. In this exact, where's the praise for him calling Anderson Cooper Democrat establishment to his face? To his face in this interview. He says, oh, of course, your framework is like this. You are also very much a part of this Democratic establishment, brother. Whatever he says. I'm paraphrasing, but that's along the lines. You can read it on media. They quoted him. Where is the praise for that? Jimmy is so fucking pathetic, dude. Oh, my gosh. I thought that we would at least... I feel a little dumb, because I thought we would at least have somewhat of a common ground with Jimmy again, to watch him celebrate Cornel West. And I was like, well, you know what? This dude's an idiot, but at least maybe he'll give some fiery rants for Cornel West that we can react to. No, this is what we're getting from Jimmy Dore. And then he's pretending that he's doing it to uplift the Cornel West campaign. No, they're going to forget your number. They're going to forget your name. You can have RFKJ and the Republican Party.
No one knows how to do an interview. An adversarial interview. Jesus fucking Christ. I do.
Well, I think he doesn't. I don't think
Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to win anyway. I didn't think he.
That's not about winning, Kurt. It's about attracting as big of an audience and followers that you can. So then you now have power in the electorate. If he can pull at 10 or 15%, nobody can get elected without his supporters.
He's trying to stir up his base. He's not actually moved.
Unlike Bernie Sanders, who didn't demand anything when he had half the voting Democratic Party following him. He demanded nothing for his support of Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden. Cornel West is not a Democrat. He can do that.
Right.
He can then. So it's not about winning. It's about getting 10 to 15% of the American people to realize that we're being screwed by both parties. No matter who wins, we're going to have more Ukraine war and less healthcare and more homelessness, no matter who wins. And that's that's the point. So he has to become a kingmaker. And if he can pull at 10, that is not going to get it done.
No, I didn't think he's going to do that.
He's not going to convince anybody who watches CNN with that kind of shit performance.
But I didn't.
Oh, well, again, we have to throw it back up. People in the comment section also brought up. We played you guys Jimmy's most recent hardball interview. Okay, and it wasn't when he was getting lubed up by his good buddy Tucker. Okay, it was over on the Adam and Sid show. We had our own debates with Adam and Sid. It is what it is, but they tried to hold Jimmy's feet to the fire, particularly that dude Sitch over there. And Jimmy just ran away with his tail between his legs because he actually can't create a proper argument. All he knows how to do is read his lines. All he does is memorize a few talking points and get right out there. But off the cuff, he's no good. So anyway, the just absolutely ridiculous. And again, for him to be like, this is how you do a controversial or a confrontational interview. I'll show you. Here's me talking to my best friend. Like, are you fucking idiot? That'd be like me. Let me tell you how I really put it on, Cornel West. The other day, Gavin said some shit I did not agree with, and I went on a fiery rant, dude. Gavin still thinks that Ron DeSantis has maybe 1% chance of winning the fucking election. I said, absolutely not. Like, you know what? That's how you stand up to the establishment.
Maker, and if he can pull at 10, that is not going to get it done.
No, I didn't think he's going to do that.
He's not going to convince anybody who watches CNN with that kind of shit performance.
But I didn't. Okay, winning's the wrong word. The thing you said he needs to do, that's what I meant, and I didn't think he was going to, because he doesn't know what an adversarial interview is. I've seen him for years. These are like people he's friendly with, and he'll say my brother and stuff. And I honestly don't think he went in there thinking Anderson.
Can you get fucked, dude? Oh my God, you're gonna tell? Are you fucking kidding me? I don't think Cornel West knows what an adversarial. Dude, you've been in the fucking trenches for too long. I don't know. Maybe your fucking host Jimmy Dore needs to let you out of the garage, get some sunlight. You can remember what the fucking real world's like, sloth. Okay, pal. But are you fucking kidding me right now? Oh, I don't think he knows out of it. These are all his friends. He calls him brother. He calls everybody brother. Dude, I can't. I'm not reacting to Kurt Metzger ever again. This guy is. He's this guy. We got our last straw with this guy. This bag of beans over here. I'm fucking done with him.
Doesn't he, in this little screenshot right here? Doesn't he kind of look like one of those like soy jacks? You know what I'm talking about? Like one of these guys. Is that not spot on to that expression he's making right now? Just a side note.
Yeah, dude. I'm having a good time with this stream. This is the most embarrassing, pitiful shit I've ever seen in my entire life. These guys, oh man, this is the most degrading shit.